Um, Hello, everybody, and welcome to Weird Weekends on Encrypted Connections. I'm your host, Kyle, and I am incredibly thrilled right now. This guy is somebody that we were just talking a little bit off the air. You know, as a fan of the subject, I've watched his documentaries many, many times. I think they're some of the best in this field. And the way that he presented it and himself, it just made me want to keep watching him over and over. Everybody, this is Jay Bachochin. How you doing, Jay?
Hey, doing good, Kyle. Thanks for having me on. I
It's my
appreciate
honor.
that. Wow, you watch it that many times?
I've watched it a lot, brother.
Oh, wow.
I've watched it a lot.
I don't think I've watched it in a couple of years just because I put it together and saw it a million times. And, then finally when it came out, it was like, other people wanted to watch it with me, and it was
Yeah,
like, so I know it inside now because I kind of lived it. I don't have to watch it. I just know it.
you know it. Yeah,
But
I'm
I, but
sure
I
it's
appreciate it. And again, I'm humbled by it. Uh, as I always said, putting out the documentary, the first one, I wasn't looking for like fame or fortune or a million likes on social media or a million followers. I'm not about that. If I could put something out that I believe is a truth, and again, it's secondhand getting to you, you're watching it. And I always say I could be the best used car salesman there is and try to pull fast ones on people and say, look what I'm doing. But I'm not. It's just I'm kind of experiencing, telling my truth, my version of the truth in the Kettle Moraine, and I'm going to pass it on. And it's up to you, the viewer, who's going to watch it and take it for what it's worth.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And
Yeah.
we spoke about this too just prior to going on the air. I don't know why we didn't just go on the air, but we spoke about how
Yeah.
you have to have an open mind, right, in this field because none of us knows the whole the whole thing. We don't know. We all we have
No.
is the things that we personally have experienced and all the stuff that other people bring to the table, which I believe every bit of it is important. Even
Yeah.
the hoaxes, I think they're important
Sure.
because you can learn from them like what to look out for, right?
Right.
Um, it's
Yeah. Just with that, it's like some of the footprints I found out in the Kettle Moraine. I'm like, I'm just waiting for that one person to say, "Hey, I hoaxed that," and they're gonna bring it forward. Would it be disappointing? Yeah, but again, my main goal is hunting the truth, and if
right,
that would be the truth, then I would have to come out and say, what I found or what I've experienced was not what I thought it was.
sure,
And again, even if it wasn't a hoax, that's the other thing. Even if it wasn't a hoax, it's still, do you definitively know what that was? Was that Harry and the Hendersons in the woods, or the Patty being out in the woods?
right,
I don't know, but just like you said, hearing other people's encounters and what they bring to the table, you do learn of Bigfoot behavior.
sure.
I the first time those rocks, and you know exactly what I'm talking
I
about. My
know.
first my first film, when the rocks were being thrown at us, believe it or not, I didn't know Bigfoot did that. It wasn't until after the fact when you start listening to other podcasts and other people talk and their encounters, and I'm like, wow, so that really did happen to me.
hmm
And when you put your mind away from Bigfoot again, I say in my documentary, it's like that wasn't until 2013 that I even thought about if Bigfoot was a possibility. Prior to that, it's like, you know what? I believe in ghosts and UFOs, the Loch Ness monster, um, you know, s- maybe even a werewolf. Who knows?
hmm
I grew up on creature features, but Bigfoot, that's always been the butt end of a joke in movies, and you can't even say the word
Yeah.
without cringing. It's like, oh, come on, saying Bigfoot's like saying unicorn, or are you looking for leprechauns?
Right.
So I really didn't have a strong biased opinion of what that was.
Yeah.
Again, the first time I was out there, I heard that what sounded like a primate, but I always say I'm not an outback Jack. I'm not a crocodile Dundee, out in the woods and this kind of guy. But so I kind of learn as I go. But till this day, I've been out in the Kettle for almost 9 years. I've never heard that type of vocal since. That was 2013. I've heard other weird type of vocals, but not that one. So, it's again, it comes down to what my truth is, what my experience is that kind of catapulted me into just going out in the Kettle.
Yeah. And and you're there, so right?
Yeah.
You know what happened. No one can tell you any different.
Nope.
Nope.
And honestly, even after some of these encounters and experiences, they are fresh in my head, but at the same time, I will question it sometimes. I'll be like, did rocks were they really thrown at me? I mean,
Of
I'm
course.
watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching it. I filmed it. I lived it, but that was what, almost 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, did that really happen? But yet here I am watching me film it. So yes, it did happen, but that's what the human mind does. It doesn't want to just accept that's what it could be. It's not an undiscovered primate. It's something else. But
Right.
yet, and again, in the first documentary, after I'm trying to look for where the rocks came from, a branch right in front of me gets lowered down.
Pulled down. Yep.
And that's creepy because I was standing right there. So it's kind of like something had to have pulled it down. It wasn't the weight of an animal climbing on a branch like a squirrel or something where it kind of boing, 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 kind of bounces.
Yeah.
It was like a pull down and hang and stay there. It was
right.
like right there. And that's kind of the fascinating part of it.
Yeah.
So I always dig that.
It's it's I because it's such a fringe topic, I think. I had my encounter in '94. I had another one in the Bridgewater Triangle just like 4 years ago. It wasn't aggressive, but it was crazy. I mean, it was nuts, and it was, I mean, clear as day, Jay. You know what I mean? It was closer than the first encounter, probably 40 yards, maybe, so close, and much bigger also.
Yeah.
And I've had the rocks. I've seen the tracks. I have structures everywhere. And I'm talking about some really crazy stuff where there's a tree that's 40 feet long, 9 inches around, and it's 30 feet up in another tree. And its root ball is there. How did that get there?
Exactly.
But I still go, did this really happen?
Right. Yeah.
You convince yourself like, maybe everyone's right. Maybe I'm nuts.
Well,
maybe I'm crazy.
that's but you know what, when it really comes down to it, it's what I said at the end of my second film is, you think about it, close to 8 billion people in the world, and everybody has their own truth from their own experience, their own reality. So really, is there even one truth anymore? Or is it just a truth that we believe just because we're going to follow it because of that's what that person said?
Right.
So it's like, really, my documentaries and when I'm speaking at events, it's always about, not that I'm trying to prove the existence of what Bigfoot, if Bigfoot exists or what Bigfoot is. It's more, get out there.
Yeah.
Find it yourself. Find your truth.
Yep.
And that's like the best recommendation, advice that I would ever give anybody. Instead of saying, watch my movie, support me. No, I'm not about that. Let's find those answers out there, and we can do it collectively. Like you were just explaining about your, about what you saw, and those are great, bits that we can all share with each other. So when we're out there, I'll be like, oh yeah, Kyle said that there was this, huge tree with its root ball still, 30 feet up in the air. Well, you know what? It happened with you. Now it's happening up here.
Right.
And that's what we have to do.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I'm going to give a little bio, just, the stuff that I know. I can't recite your whole bio on here because you're a pretty well-traveled man. But so you tried to solve an unsolved mystery at one point. Mm-hmm. You had a paranormal research group in Wisconsin. You are a graphic designer. You do video editing, obviously. You're a documentarian. You're a father, a husband, a son. And now you've been searching for your truth in the Kettle Moraine. How did what so did the unsolved mystery come first, and if so, what was it? How did that happen?
Actually, you know, I've always been, my first love has always been UFOs because I saw one in 1978, somewhere around there in my
Okay.
hometown in Lindenhurst, Illinois, with my family. So it wasn't just me seeing it. So I had a love for that. My grandfather was the early chapters of MUFON in Chicago, and
Remember you saying that?
so it was really good to be able to talk with him about all of his knowledge, back from the 50s and the 60s. And it was really cool that really intrigued me enough to where I would go out and actually just drive around, try to get away from the towns and the light pollution and try to look for UFOs in the sky. And I was doing that a lot in the later 80s, early 90s. But really it wasn't until 2007 where we formed our own group, the Wisconsin Paranormal Investigators. It was me and my wife, going on our honeymoon on the East Coast, and we're in Salem. It was near Halloween. They had ghost tours. We found it intriguing, and I was like, you know what? This ghost hunter show that's on TV. It's the only one that was on at the time, and it's like this. What's real? I mean, it was intriguing, but I didn't want to be just that next person to just follow it just because it was on TV or, pictures on the internet or whatever. And I wanted to go out and either prove it or debunk it. That's
Hmm.
it. And that's the truth. So that's when we had like a team of 10, and we would, do, we set up a website early 2008. We started getting requests for, can you investigate here, here, here? And then later on, everybody started doing it. So it became saturated. And it wasn't until 2010 they get a phone call from Neil Sanders, who used to be a chief deputy, the what do you call it? I'm sorry. I was actually going to say because he actually lives out in across the corner, and he's the one who would actually examine these bodies, with the boys that were found drowned, and they were all 22, 23. They were always male. It was like a profile, so it almost seemed like a serial killer, like they were saying the smiley face serial killer. But there was a different angle to it, which was a little bit more paranormal, and that's the one where we actually went out to La Crosse and did several weeks of investigating, going and then coming back again, and the movie's called, the documentary is called The Hidden Truth. It was released in 2012, so it's a little dated, but it hasn't seen the light of Prime or anything like that yet. I think I still have some DVDs left of it, but it's a really, really interesting fact of trying to uncover. It was almost like an X file, is what it was, and I guess it's kind of like me. It's not that I'm a ghost hunter or a UFO chaser or a Bigfooter or anything like that. It's like the Fringe. I want to know what the truth is. I'm drawn to the unknown and
Yeah.
trying to learn it and uncover it. So yeah, the group and the La Crosse drownings all happened right around 2010, between 2010 2012, and then that's when,
Wow.
yeah. And then after all that, we would still investigate a little bit, but the team kind of just fell apart a little bit, and I just kind of ex-nayed the group.
Yeah.
They all started on their endeavors, and they're still doing it now today, which was good. But that's why I just remained solo, because I just wanted to focus on other things that were not so much a request from people's houses that I'd have to go to, but I wanted to be able to go out in the woods whenever I could.
Yeah.
And the more you're out there, the more you're going to learn. I don't want to say you're going to find it, but you're going to learn a lot more while you're out
Sure.
there. So that kind of leaves me up to what I've been doing since 2013, being solo.
Well, that's awesome. I actually I haven't seen that documentary, but it sounds really really intriguing.
It,
A paranormal curve to a you know murder mystery. That definitely is X-Files ish for sure.
It is. I
Uh,
think, and I could double check. I want to see on how many copies, because I could always get more if the demand was there. But at the same time, people just want to stream everything now. Nobody wants the DVDs. They're
yeah, I
like, well,
guess
what's a DVD?
yeah, yeah, right. What's a DVD? Yeah, I
It's a
know. I
little
showed.
better than a cassette tape.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a shirt on the other day, and it had a pager on the front of it.
Yeah.
And I was in the pet store, and the kid's looking at my shirt, and he's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "You don't know what that is?" He's like, "No." I said, "It's a pager." He goes, "What's a pager?" I'm like, "Man, I am officially old now."
Yeah. We're old. We just have to embrace change. It's inevitable, right?
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, so it's that was really intriguing, and that's how I am. People say to you, are you a Bigfoot hunter? And it's like, no, I'm a hiker. I love the woods and I love to observe. And if whatever's out there, I'm gonna try to understand what it is.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. I've always been drawn to those, the weird stuff. Like I just wanted to know as much as I could about all of it. This world is so big and it's so vast, and our knowledge of it is still so minimal. I know people like to think that they know everything, right?
Oh, they
Academics like to
they
think
do.
that they like to think they know it all, but we don't know we don't know anything. In my eyes, I don't think we know even a fraction of what is really going on under the surface. Um, and I do think that there's so much to be learned from getting that connection that we used to have to to the planet, because we've been drawn far away from it with stuff like this, you know.
Oh,
um,
absolutely. Technology.
yeah, and the comforts and all that stuff. But yeah, it's there's just so much out there. I so far this channel we've done mostly the Bigfoot stuff, but I didn't name it a Bigfoot name on purpose because I didn't want to pigeonhole myself, right?
Right. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm open to it all. Because who knows? Some of this stuff could be connected, right? The paranormal, the Bigfoot, the UFOs.
Yep.
Who knows? You hear strange stuff. You hear stories about weird things happening at the same time, and so
Absolutely. And again, you said exactly what I was saying. Well, in my documentary, it's how I was. It's like when I first started looking for Bigfoot. Bigfoot was in its own box, and when people would say, you know what, maybe it's a banshee or a spirit in the woods, I'm like, don't harp on my flesh and blood cryptid here.
yeah, yeah,
It's but being out in the woods and seeing these orbs of light and other different light anomalies, it's bizarre. And so now I'm looking at it going, okay, I know Bigfoot's out here. I've
mhm,
seen it. I know I've seen it. Couple encounters, very some of them just made me petrified. But I've also seen the lights at the same time as we were having Bigfoot type behavior,
mhm,
activity around us. So, you know, my mind is always wide open where I'm like, okay, I'm taking the ghost box, the alien box, and UFO box. I'm just dumping them all into one box now because I don't know what it is out there.
yeah,
And I mean, I know nobody does, but it's kind of like, I think if you kind of limit yourself, like you said, just about the title of your podcast, if you limit yourself to it, you're just kind of stuck.
yeah,
And I'm not. I'm always evolving. I'm always like always thinking outside the box, right? Hunt the
yeah.
truth, think outside the box. Step 3, go back to number 1 and just keep repeating it and just keep expanding it. And a lot of times people say, well, it's a feeble attempt, Jay. It's just a flesh and blood creature. And it's like, hey, I know it's flesh and blood, but at the same time, I don't know the other special attributes it has.
Exactly.
Right? It's kind of like looking at Marvel's Hulk,
Yeah.
right? Oh, he's strong and he can jump and he can smash, but who knew he could clap his hands together and create that sonic,
Right.
things like that. So it's kind of like, what else could a Bigfoot potentially have? being wild and not being stuck with technology,
Right.
and being able to use more of its brain that, people say, well, you're part of the woo if you think it can cloak. I'm not even saying it could cloak like the predator, but is it something that can be done with the mind?
Right.
You're walking in the trails and one could be standing right there, and it's kind of, focusing on you saying, this isn't the squatch you're looking for. Kind
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
right?
Jedi mind tricks.
Exactly,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
we're weak-minded, because we're behind the technology. We don't stop. We rely on this. We don't rely on our senses, even though we
Right.
feel like we do rely on our senses out there. It's still stymied,
Yeah.
and they have the full potential to be able to, you want to say mind speak, telepathy,
Sure.
um, maybe something this big is walking right behind you, but you can't hear it.
Yep.
You can't hear me. I mean, who knows? But that's just the rabbit hole I go down, because nobody knows, right? It's my truth. Nobody can take away my truth. You can stick to your opinion and your truth, and that's fine. And like you said, we all learn from it, but I think there's so much more to it, right?
Right. I'm glad you said rabbit hole too. So the channel's called Encrypted Connections, but it's White Rabbit Productions,
Yeah.
and there's a reason. The White Rabbit. The song by Jefferson Airplane, and
Absolutely.
Alice in Wonderland. My White Rabbit. How far down the hole are you willing to go to find out the truth?
Yeah.
And what's your rabbit?
Do you remember that movie Communion with Christopher Walken?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do you remember at the end when he's trying to find out who they were behind each mask, and every time they kept pulling off another mask,
Yes.
it was like there was never going to be an answer. And
Yep.
maybe there is an answer, but it's in our minds to understand it. And if I told you that, hey, you know what, Kyle, I actually sat down with Bigfoot out there. And you know what? They really do. They like coffee, Folgers.
Yeah.
And they've been here for a millennia. They've been here a long time. You'd look at me going, okay, wait, what? Because that's not possible, Jay. And you're 100% right. And that's why when I'm going out there filming and documenting, it's not really to show the public and try to convince the public who's already on the fence already. It's a feeble attempt. It's futile, right? It's basically Jay's making it up. He's another Todd Standing. Give me a scarlet letter, and he's a hoaxer or whatever. I'm not trying to do that. I would like to bring home a video or a good picture to show my wife so she doesn't roll her eyes at me anymore.
But she was there with you. You guys found those prints in the snow.
And yet she wants to be in a bubble. It's funny.
Oh,
We have this discussion all the time. She says, I believe it could be out there, but not in the Kettle Moraine. And I'm like, you see these prints? You were right there.
yeah.
But that's somebody else, and that's everybody's a little bit different, where they don't want to accept
Sure.
that's a reality. They want to stay in their bubble of what they know or what their comfort is. The unknown intrigues me, while the unknown can frighten her.
And I
And
think there's a level too sometimes with people. I'm sorry. Just with like accepting that it could be near you, you're in your backyard, right? I think that brings a little bit more where people are going, there's no way it's by me,
Yeah. Oh, I love that. If you could almost hear a car out there. You must be near a road. It doesn't matter. The Kettle Moraine is what,
No.
55,000 square acres that goes 100 miles through the state of Wisconsin. There's bound to be what I call fingers, like in a lake, but they're just called roads. And it doesn't matter how close you are to a road when you're out in the Kettle. You're still in the middle of the woods, no matter
Yeah.
how you look at it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely possible for them to be out there 100%. I don't even have a shred of doubt, like I did if you watch my first film, where I never answer the question. But I have no shredded doubt that there is definitely Bigfoot in the Kettle Moraine for sure.
I think they're everywhere, Jay. I really
Oh
believe that
yeah.
there's not a place, maybe Hawaii, because unless somebody, took them on a yacht. But I think in the North America, I think that they're probably in every state in the union except for Hawaii, and I think that they're spread pretty good across those states. I live in southeastern Connecticut. Okay, I'm on the shoreline. There's not a whole lot of elevation changes here. There's no mountains. We have some hills that are big hills, but and we have some micro ecosystems in certain places. But when people think of Bigfoot, they don't think of this place. And I promise you, they're here. They're here, man.
I like you said, I don't doubt it. Now I know they sent Finding Bigfoot on Hawaii to look for Bigfoot,
They
but
did.
yeah, at one point. But I think they were looking for some other cryptid that was out there because just like you, how does Bigfoot get out there unless it boarded a, maybe it was
Yes.
a stowaway on a ship or something. But no, and I 100% agree with you. There are so many encounters that I've heard that don't fit the normal California or Washington State. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Places like that, or Ohio or Pennsylvania. You have
Right.
all these places, and even south, you get or Skunk Ape. Well, you wonder on how many Bigfoot were lifted up by Hurricane Ian,
Yeah. Right.
yesterday. But I would say my prayers out for
Yes.
Florida as well because that's just devastating. But you have all these places. Then you have Wisconsin. Come on, that's Cheesehead City. There's how could you even remotely put something that big that's all around in the mountains and everything here in Wisconsin, like you just said. I do. I believe they're everywhere. I don't believe that there's a Bigfoot behind every tree,
No. 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 No.
but there's a possibility that a Bigfoot could be behind every tree.
Right.
There's a difference there of saying that it's not so much that I'm thinking that's where they're at, but that possibility when you're out there, you first get out there, relaxing, just kind of enjoying nature. They could be
Mm-hmm.
standing right there.
Yep.
The possibility right there. And that's how I approach it. And that's how
Yep.
come I don't dress in camo when I go out there.
They're gonna know
And
you're there anyway.
I want to be found. Either I don't want to be shot by a hunter or
Yeah.
rogue
That
hunter.
too.
'Cause I don't go
Yeah.
out. I don't go out during hunting season. But you have poachers. I mean, you got some yin yangs out there that are going to do that. I don't want to get shot, so
Right.
I like to wear the bright colors. And like you just said, my main goal is for them to find me, thus finding Jay. That's where that all
Right.
came about. It's
Right.
not, I don't think we'll ever find Bigfoot, but Bigfoot will find us if we allow it
Yep.
and are open to it.
Yeah. It's I love when people say that, like, oh, I got my camo on. I'm getting ready to go on a Bigfoot hunt, and I'm like, your camo is not going to do anything to keep them from see. It's their living room. They're going to know you're in their living room, man. They're going to know you're coming probably before you even know you're going there.
I think it has to go um, with the genre, right? Because if you notice all paranormal investigators, they're all standing there with their arms folded in black shirts, right? Now, I'm not going to diss that because we did that as well in
uh,
2007, 2008. Black was it. That was it. You didn't really have anything else but that because you were a part of the night. You were
it
a
was the
paranormal
macabre.
investigator.
Yeah.
Exactly. Then, you go into the woods and look for Bigfoot. So why not just throw on a bunch of camo? Because when you're out in the woods, you're hunting for deer, turkey, whatever. Um, but this is a whole different animal. It's kind of, you know, it's like you want to be. I want to be safe. Safety is my number one thing out there. But
Sure.
I want to be found,
Yep.
and I would want to be found by a Bigfoot to finally approach me
Yeah.
when I'm out there. It's crazy, but really, what else am I going to do? Keep walking out there and having rocks thrown at me, going, "Oh, there's Bigfoots out there, yay!"
Yeah.
Or I hear a vocalization, "Yep, they're out there, yay!" Where does it end? Or
Yeah.
and that's up to each individual, obviously. But I'm not out there trying to prove it to the world that they're out there. I'm this is for me. It's that
Yeah.
personal quest. So
Yeah. I also like my whole thing too is because of the 1994 incident, I don't want them to ever think that I'm trying to sneak in, right? Or
Right.
sneak
Yeah.
up on them. I don't want that to be the energy that they
Ex-
get, right? Because I think
Uh,
that's important too. I think like and intention is a big thing.
yeah.
You go out
Absolutely.
there,
Yeah.
you go out there with
Absolutely.
a gun strapped to you. They know what that gun is, man. They know. They've been in the woods long enough. They've seen guns. They've seen bow and arrow. They've seen all that stuff, and they know that they do damage. And it probably doesn't make them feel really comfortable. My
Yep.
theory. Again, I don't know. This is just what I think.
You're right onto it. It's the reason why I don't carry a firearm.
Yeah.
People say I'm crazy. I bring my bear spray. I have a 21-inch machete. I've got my Rambo survival knife. I've got everything for close encounters. And at night, I have a 2500 lumens flashlight. People say, "Well, how is that a weapon?" Well, let's try to steer into it. I've got the upper
Yeah.
hand
Yeah. Good
behind
luck.
you. But I do believe exactly what you said about a firearm, and that's uh, I always say if they're hypersensitive, they're out in the woods, they're hypersensitive to everything. Like you said, they already know you're there. That means like a dog can sense fear. I believe they can sense confidence.
Yeah.
So now you're a human who don't belong out here. We see you guys here all during the morning and afternoon, but you guys aren't out here at night.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you walking out here at night so confidently? Because that person's strapping some heat on them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's their way of saying, fine, we'll just stay back.
Yeah.
I want the complete opposite. I want to draw them in. And
Right.
like you said, when you're going out of the woods, I'm not sneaking. I'll walk into the woods right away. I throw up my hands, kind of like it's kind of like a submission,
Right. Of
but
course.
it's kind of like I'll twist my hands and then I give them a wave. And I started that in 2015, and I've done it ever since going in there. And it's my way of just saying, "Hey guys, I'm here."
Yeah.
It's like I let them know. And I always, as soon as I'm done waving, I swear I hear raccoons and possum laughing. They're laughing at me like, "What is this guy doing?"
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, or some of the people that I'll go out with, they know I do it, but there's some
Yeah.
new people sometimes going, "This guy's a freak job." But I'm like, one day, I'm hoping that it'll be somewhat twilight, or during the day, but kind of twilight, that I do see, you know 50 yards away from me, just a Bigfoot stand out, look at me, and raise its hands
Mm-hmm.
and do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because that right there, that little bit was that first contact for me of communication between, the supposed legend and reality.
Right.
And that's honestly, that's my goal.
Yeah.
And it always will be. So it's,
The gun thing too. Going back to the gun thing.
yeah,
If anyone who's had a class A encounter and has seen one of these things do what it does, right? So if you've ever seen one shake a tree, I'm talking like a big solid giant tree, and this tree's shaking back and forth with one hand, right? Like it's nothing. And then you see one run. You I can't, I still can't even begin to explain to anybody just what that looks like, because it's the only way that I can begin to describe it is like when the Tasmanian devil would go into that tornado
yep,
and he would just shoom shoom.
yep.
It was like a blur. You're watching a 1,000-pound creature that's 9 feet tall move like lightning, like
And
the wind. Your gun is not going to do any good. You'll never get a bead on that thing, ever.
yeah, yeah. And so you remember that in my first film, then when I was out with my daughter, I wasn't squatching. It was during the day. She was almost 5. And it was a daddy-daughter date hike. I took her
Yep,
out to the Kettle Moraine. There's bikers out there, horseback riders, whatever. It's fun. And it was in February, and we were walking out there, little girl, little legs, short hike. She can't go that far. Out
sure,
there for only 45 minutes. We're coming back. We're about 150 yards away from the car, and she's kind of skating on the little snows in February. The ice snow by my feet.
sure.
Pull me, daddy, pull me.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of doing that, and just I'm looking at my 12, and right off to the 2, because it was February, everything was brown. There was really no green. I catch this auburn shape to my right, and it's right where we came from. The trees were groomed, the pines were groomed up about 30 feet, so you could see through all the rows, and you could see the path we were just on. And I look over there, and I see a solid, massive auburn. But then the unthinkable happened, is it moved. And when it moved, it left an auburn blur. Like I was looking at it, and it was like gone from zero to 1,000 miles an hour, like that. And that, I'll tell you what, that freaked me out more than anything, because just like you said about even having a gun, I wouldn't even care if I was double wielding, 2 AKs on me. That thing moved so fast that it could have, if it wanted to, come by, grab my daughter, and that terrified me. Again, my daughter had no idea, and she's still skating around my feet. Pull me, Daddy, pull me. And I'm like, time to go. And I just kind of took her by the arm, in her hand, and we just kind of walked to the car, and everything was good. But that freaked me out. And I've never heard anybody else talk about how fast they move.
Oh, man.
Until the Devin Richard, that's in my second film, his encounter, where he said it moved like a blur. You just said it moved so fast it moved like a blur. The thing is, it's happening. We're seeing this, right? We can't all be crazy.
No.
But we don't know what it is, but whatever it is moving fast.
It's so fast, man. Like, incredible. And again, like, the physical prowess of these things is just, there's nothing on the planet like it. There is not an animal that's alive that would give this thing even an ounce of fight. I don't care if it's a tiger, a lion, an elephant. The physical prowess of these things, they are so strong. They're so fast. They're so cunning and smart and quiet. Like, they are built to be the ultimate predator. But yet, for the majority of the interactions that people have are passive. And even the aggressive ones, like mine was aggressive. I mean, it displayed aggressive behavior from a distance. It could have, from where it was 80 yards away, it could have come and taken all 4 of us and killed us in an instant if it wanted to. But it didn't. It didn't. There's so much to try to understand and learn,
It is. And I think that's what it always comes down to, because people want to say it's just, it's related to the, primate that we haven't caught up with yet. I guess humans, for the most part, are primates. But you just look at the feet. On the footprints that I have found, they are human feet, but just huge. They're not monkey feet for like climbing, like gorillas or chimpanzees, or with the extended toe for the climbing. These are human feet. They look like human feet, which leads me to believe, when you keep digging down, this is my truth, what, and they've been here for millennial, right? They've been here since even the Native Americans here, and Great America's here. How far back do they go? And they very well, I think, could be the first people. Only because it's like, I'm thinking they're people. I'm Christian, it's like a man, I'm not perfect. I always say that, man of faith, that I believe that, when God, when the Holy Bible was written, that Noah was 950 years old. You could say, well, Jay, you're taking that out of context, out of the Bible. It was written so long ago. It's like, well, you can't nitpick the Bible. It's all or nothing. That's how I am. All or nothing. I take everything as gospel, no pun intended. But if people were able to live that long, I don't know how we could have branched off from that. But what if these Bigfoot people have a longevity of life that could live that long? Number one, they wouldn't have to overpopulate the earth, right? Because they live so much longer. Number two, why aren't we finding bones? Well, maybe they're not dying in our lifetime or our kids' lifetime, but maybe their great grandkids is when they finally, or the future was when they finally die. And like you just said, they're smart. I believe they bury their dead.
Yeah.
So there's so many things of how I believe that they're flesh and blood and people, but then how do you explain the orbs and the Jedi mind tricks and all that? You just think about it. Living 900 years out in the woods like Yoda,
Yeah.
that's all you
Right.
have. You don't have TV or anything blocking you. You're using
Yes.
what they have, with their minds, being able to expand, kind of like that movie Lucy. Sorry that I have all these references of
No,
movies.
no. It's
But
good.
remember the movie Lucy?
I sure do.
Okay, so remember it kept going up in percentage of being able to use that much of her brain,
Yes.
and we really don't know. We can theorize or put that out there, but I guess it's just the way I think, because I'm man of God, and believe more of the spiritual part of it. That I believe the Bigfoot could be more spiritual, and I don't mean ghost-like or transparent or anything like that, but I believe that they can use all these different attributes. I mean, come on, right? I found a set of 12 prints in the snow that went to an opening, and they just ended.
Yeah.
Where did it go? I have found several single footprints, but no other footprints around. How are we just finding the one footprint? Did it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's crazy. So it's flesh and blood leaving the track. Okay. So I'm telling everybody, to me, it's flesh and blood. But then where does it go? How is it doing it?
Mm-hmm.
That's the greatest mystery.
I had asked oh man, actually I asked Kerry. That's who I asked. I asked him what he thought about their lifespans. And he obviously just said, oh, I don't know. You just don't know, and it's so hard to tell. He said, some people have said 50 years because they live such a rough life, but I tend to lean more towards what you're talking about, because if, just like you said, if they've been here for so long, they've learned how to live as one with their environment instead of fighting against it, right?
Right.
They're in harmony with everything around them, and they're built so differently than us, right? So even just bringing it down to something so simple as their gait, with the way
Right.
they walk correctly. They walk the way you're supposed to walk. That's why it's so smooth. They're not vaulting over their hips when they
Right.
walk with a saddle stride, and then like us, where our hips get all torn to bits and you need hip replacements and knee replacements.
Right.
So these little things, though, could add up to, like, well, if they're not doing this much damage to themselves, then why not? Why couldn't they live longer, much longer?
You think about this. This happened back in 2014. It was a ship up near Alaska, I believe. The crabbing boats.
Yes,
Like
yep.
Deadliest Sketch. Now I went from movies to TV.
Yeah,
Where actually they were, but they weren't catching crab, and this was not Deadliest Sketch. A ship actually were catching lobster,
mm-hmm.
and they caught this one lobster, and it was a part in the cage, but it was crushed. So they actually killed it. There was other lobster there, but when they brought it up, they thought it looked so unique, and they were able to do a test on it because they've never seen anything like it, and they have found that lobster was close to 400 years old. I know it's not a primate, but it goes to show you of saying, if that cage that fell on it didn't kill it, how much longer would it have lived?
Wow.
You know what I mean? 500 years old, 600. Then there's something called a forever jellyfish that doesn't reproduce. It kind of breaks apart of itself to keep living.
What?
Yeah, it's bizarre. Like humans, we have to reproduce, to keep on our species, because we're eventually going to die, and the kids are going to, do their thing, and it just goes down generations. But this jellyfish doesn't reproduce that way. It splits in half when it needs to, and it regrows again, and it's the same body. You know what I mean? This thing could live forever.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But so this this just reinforces what we're talking about, right?
Right. That's
Look
what
how
I'm saying.
strange that sounds. That sounds preposterous,
Yeah.
but it's real.
It's real.
Why is it so hard for people to believe in this creature?
Because
Just
we've all,
why?
I just think that we're all,
Is it ego?
you know, if we really want to look at it this way, if you know you want to, I don't want to get into the conspiracy theories or anything like that, but let's get into them anyway.
Yeah, go
No,
for it.
no, is that if these things really do exist and the government knows, because the government seems to know everything, they have a lot better technology than we do, right? Right.
Yeah,
They're monitoring right now as we're talking. So
I'm sure they
yeah,
are.
right. So they have the technology to be able to do stuff that you and I couldn't do. You
Right.
know, fly around using thermal, trying to capture. All right, say they did capture one. They know it exists. Again, I wouldn't see why they wouldn't. And then they realize what they are, which would also give a little credence to the Bible, right? So don't believe in God, or don't believe in that. The Bible is just an adult fairy tale. Don't believe in that. Jesus never died for you. All this could actually open up a whole new part of saying we've been lied to our whole lives,
We have, though.
right? And we have, and I believe that now. I think my eyes have really opened up in the past several years to where
Just
it's
look at
like,
the UFO thing. Just look at that. That alone proves that they've lied to us for years. Just that.
and again, for what purpose? I always heard that they were gonna let the public know way back in the 40s or after Roswell, and but it had to have been a slow build up to get us conditioned
Mm,
to where I wake up tomorrow and I hear people on Facebook saying there's a 50-mile wide UFO over Milwaukee. Would that surprise me? No. I'd be like, wow, they're here.
yeah,
It's like I already know they're here. So we've been conditioned, but now
sure.
we've been more conditioned to not accept things like Bigfoot, because Bigfoot could be, I don't want to say the missing link, but it could be the link to the truth of the past that has been canceled,
Hmm.
right? Canceling seems to be a big thing. So,
Huge, yeah.
yeah, right. So, not just now, but 50 years ago, 100 years ago, you know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
really, is this like the Matrix? Are we the sixth generation of people like us? And we
Yeah.
were just taught that the Wright brothers just started to learn to fly in the 1800s. It's like
y-
we could have been flying for hundreds of years. We don't
Yeah.
know. Anyway, that's my long answer of saying that I do think that it's being covered up and we're made to look foolish. Anybody that believes in Bigfoot is now a fool, right? You're believing in alleged. You're believing in a unicorn, Jay.
You're a
So
fool until you share too much or do too much. And I think then you start to see things kind of change a little bit. Again, I don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but
but
there's some credence to a lot of this. I mean, I know people who've done expeditions in this field, and they've seen um, uh, like drones flying overhead that scrambled all their technology, everything they had, shut it right
absolutely
down. That's not the guy next door who lives on the farm, 4 miles away when you're
no,
10 miles in the woods. That's not him.
no. And again, it's like I really think until you come up with 100% concrete of something, that will be left alone with it, because it's all just theory and it's a legend. And just because you saw it, I saw it, doesn't mean anybody who's watching this now has actually seen it. So therefore they're on we can't convince enough people.
Right.
So what would really convince somebody um, would be physical evidence.
My body.
A body, a hand,
Yeah.
but so it goes on and on. So I think we're safe as long as we don't give away too much evidence. We can only do this because you know what, I really don't need to see one to know that they're real.
Right.
But that could be my faith, just like I believe God is there, even though I haven't seen it with my own eyes. So,
Right.
and I'm not trying to compare God and Bigfoot. I'm just saying it's how I roll. It's how I'm wired.
We talked about this though. Faith is a big thing. And so people who say like, no one's, you've never seen it, and but Well, guess what? I've never seen $1 million, but I know it exists, right?
Or a baby pigeon.
Or a baby. I've never seen a baby pigeon,
That's right.
actually.
You
Oh
only
my
see
god,
them grown up. You never see a baby pigeon, but they have to exist.
that's
And
really weird that you said that. I've never seen a
yeah,
baby pigeon
a
before.
baby pigeon is a. It's like the simplest things that we don't know.
Oh
And
man, that's crazy.
yeah, just because it's not there doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And like you were saying on how big the world is, there are still parts on planet Earth that have not been touched by man.
Yep.
If that just blows your mind, you're like, no way. You're on Facebook and social media. You're all around. You can look around the whole world in a snap. That's how
Yeah.
small it is now. No,
Yeah.
it's huge, it's vast, and it has not all been explored yet.
Yeah. No, I know people seem to get that perception that it's small because you can click on, Google Earth and travel the world in 10 seconds. But man, if you really stop to think, like when you talked about how big the kettle is,
Yeah.
how big that if you really think about how big that is, I challenge someone to go walk through that whole thing, the whole thing, explore every square inch of that place. Tell me you could do it,
You
because I don't
know,
think you could.
I'm on a scanner with rescue and everything up in the area, just so I'm always paying attention to it.
Yeah,
And there's been several times where hikers, have just gotten lost in some of these parks that are like not even a pinhead to a pinhead of the
exactly.
kettle, and they still get turned around in there. That's how vast it is. Now,
Right.
if you went on Google Earth and looked at the kettle, you'd be like, that's it. Let's look at Washington State. Now that's woods. Of course it is. But what you're doing is you're just looking for that habitat or the way they could possibly move. Like a lot of people say, do they migrate? Do you have more luck in the summer or the fall or the winter? I've had experiences through all seasons. Um,
Hmm.
and if you look at the way the kettle goes up through Wisconsin, it doesn't look that big. It looks kind of like a green snake
Yeah.
of just dense woods, which is vast.
Yeah.
Then you start popping over to where the Great North Woods are, which then really expand, then hits up into Michigan, the UP, which is just exploding with trees. So I keep thinking how they could move, without being detected. That would be a path of what they could do. And I'm telling you, with the kettle, there are so many deep, 200, 300-foot kettles down there that people just don't go down. And could they? Absolutely. But one or two, I would just lay money that this is where they're all at.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah, in these thickly, densely wooded areas with so much brush and all this,
yeah,
cover, and you can't scale down that cliffside, and it would take you forever to. I mean, it makes sense, and I've been in woods that are, I was talking about the other day. I've been in a small swath of forest that is nothing compared to most other things, and there's places in there that like you try to get to and then you hit a wall. You're like, I can't even get past any of this stuff. It's so
right.
thick,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, no, there's places on this earth that I don't think will ever be touched,
Yeah,
ever.
exactly. So it's kind of, but that would just go to that bigger picture. And like you were saying, is just because you don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
Right.
And that's different areas, different mammals that are still being discovered that
Yeah.
you'd think they'd all be discovered by now, right? Every one
Yeah.
of them should be in a textbook or on a life documentary, on the History Channel. But they're not, or Discovery Channel. They're not, and they're still discovering it. And here we are still talking about, we're chasing shadows out in the woods that we
Yeah.
think are real. But my my reality is they are real.
They are real.
And nobody can tell me different,
Nope.
you
They're
know?
100% real.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I said, I try to be as objective as I can, but there's one thing that I cannot be objective on, and it's the fact that they exist. And the reason I say that is because I've been there, I've seen it, and it's important to me that I want to try to help somebody else to understand, or at least give it some thought when you go in the woods. I'm not asking you to believe, but at least stay vigilant, right? At least
You,
if a rock comes out of the air and lands near you,
yeah,
do a little critical thinking, look around. Is there some kids in the woods? Could they possibly be there? If there's not, you probably should turn around. You know?
exactly. It's you know what you're doing? You're leading the horse to the water to
Yeah,
drink.
that's all you can do.
You can't make the horse drink.
No,
And like you said, it gets frustrating when nobody believes you. And that's
that's because
when,
they think that water's tainted.
well, exactly. It's like, damn, I ain't drinking that. You're gonna make me see pink elephants or something. Yeah, but that's exactly it. You just have to lead them to the water, and that's what it is. When it really comes down to it, at the end of the day, what is Kyle and Bigfoot's relationship? If that, you know what I mean? Is there that bond that you're trying to create between, the two of you,
Yeah.
before going out to expand and letting other people know? I know that sounds weird because I just heard me say that, because I always say I have a relationship with the woods. I don't say with Bigfoot, really. It's with the woods.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that's nature. That's their home. That's them. I believe I have that going.
Sure.
I
Sure.
don't think we'll be like sitting down playing flutes together, or that he's a good old forest jolly giant. I think if I refer to him as people, there's good people like us. There's a lot of
There's
bad
bad
people out
people.
there,
Yeah,
and
sure.
you have to be careful. You got to be smart, but you just have to go with what your gut feeling is. It's like me. I feel like I've been tagged. Don't ask me how. I was never in the woods when I was before 2013. Come on, there was ticks out there, poison ivy. You can walk into a huge spider, going through there, and it's like, you know what? I'll just stick with haunted houses and urban type stuff. But
Yeah,
now,
because demons are so much safer.
yeah, right. Demons are so much safer. But no, but it's like, now, ever since that first howl or that first vocalization and finding those prints in 2013, I don't want to say I can't get enough of it. I feel like I should be out there all the time.
Yeah.
That's the feeling I have. It's,
Yeah.
somebody's throwing a party. All your friends are going to be there. Your family's over there, and you're just going to sit at home watching TV. But there's a big party. They're all waiting for you,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how I feel. I feel I got to get up there. No matter where I'm work, I have family. We have family commitments that we do. But I always feel like I have to be out there.
Yep. You feel
So
compelled to
yeah,
be there.
compelled like a
Yep.
magnet. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. I get it. I understand the feeling. Um, I didn't have that feeling for a very long time after the initial encounter because I was just so terrified. The PTSD is a real thing, and it changed my whole life. I was a kid who lived in the woods. I love animals, like love them. I have always felt a incredible spiritual connection to animals. It doesn't matter if it's a possum, a skunk, a deer, a fox, a bird. Like if it's around, like I'm talking to it. I'm trying to feed it.
Yeah.
It's just I just had this deep connection with them. So I was always in the woods. But after that happened, I was not in the woods for almost 30 years. And but when I went back, it was a very, very strange thing.
Mm.
I was scared. I I was super apprehensive, but there was just something that kept pulling me. It was like you said, just a magnetic feeling like I needed to be here.
Yeah. And
Um,
maybe, and again, this gets even crazier
I don't
because
think there's anything crazy. I don't think there's anything crazy.
I always hear myself say it, but because I always think of like Noah. Noah was chosen to build his ark to be able to tell people it's going to flood. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then the rest was how it was. And I kind of feel that way about being out in the woods. Is like I didn't believe Bigfoot existed. I wasn't an outdoorsman, or I didn't want to be out there. And now I can't get enough of it. So really, what changed? Just because of a mystery of a Bigfoot? I mean, that could have gotten old quick if you think about it. You're going out in the hot mosquitoes and the freezing cold, and that would get old, right?
Yeah, sure.
But yet I'm still compelled to go out there. So
Right.
it's been 9 years, and it's like it's not even so much that I'm getting any closer. I mean, some would say I have been because of the experiences, but really the contact is what I'm looking for. So I haven't gotten to that point yet. So I'm just going to keep going out and hiking.
Yeah, yeah, and I totally get all that.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you,
Yeah.
um, what would you'd say um, your most intense interaction sighting has been in the years that you've been doing this?
Oh, well, though I actually had two. One of them was with my daughter, even though it was during the day, and it was that sighting. It was that feeling
Yeah,
of
yeah.
like my kid is about to get kidnapped
You just feel
and,
so small and insignificant.
and helpless.
Yes.
And again, as I am telling you that, sorry, I get emotional talking about it because I love my family so much, love my daughter so much, and I kept thinking, did I put her in harm's way? Because again, when I have my first documentary on Amazon, people can comment all they want on there. And apparently, I'm a very bad dad for bringing my kids out and using them as bait. Seriously, this is what people have typed. Now, you're gonna get the trolls
Boy.
out there, but in a way, and I wasn't using my kid as a bait at all. It'd just be ridiculous. But when you think about that, I'm thinking, what am I doing out here? And like, what could have happened? And so I didn't really bring my kids out again for a little bit after that because I was like, I'm not bringing you into it. In fact, I didn't even hike for about a month after that. I was like, I'm done with this. I don't know
Hmm.
what these things are.
Yeah, yeah.
But so that was still terrifying, and it was during the day. But my most terrifying happened in 2016 in June. I remember we went out just as it got dark because it was dark. It was me and my friend Chris. It just got done raining, so it wasn't raining anymore. But when you're in the kettle through all the canopies, you hear all the rainfall. Just the water is dripping everywhere around you. And we're on one of the kettle paths, and this was a deep one, at 300 foot on each side of us, going down steep. And it's a good 15-foot wide trail, so it's not like a narrow trail, but it's kind of wide. Then starts tapering to go down. Anyway, so it's dark, and he goes, "Hey, can I do a knock?" Because I don't knock. I mean, I did in the very very beginning, kind of like finding Bigfoot, but then I was like, I'm like, I don't really know what it means, so I'm not going to
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it. Be like Zach Baggins to try to instigate a ghost. Come on out. And I'm not knocking any other researcher who does it. I just personally don't. Anyway,
Yeah.
so Chris goes over to the edge by the kettle, finds a tree. I can barely see him. That's how dark it is. No lights. And he goes up and he has this like little billy club that he brings with him. And he's like, whap, whap. And he knows he does it twice. And then we just are quiet, right? To listen. Now it's already dark, but I close my eyes and I don't know why, to help concentrate, but it was still dark anyway. But I close my eyes to try to listen for a replied knock. And all I'm hearing is, the rainfall, 360 degrees around me, right? Just falling. And I'm just listening. It's quiet. All of a sudden, right to my right, I hear a big step. And then right behind me, another big step. And I mean, this literally sounded like it couldn't have been no more than 10 feet behind me because I know where the path was. And then the third step right to my left, and it stopped. And I'm like, doom, 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 doom. Like all of a sudden, I couldn't move. I couldn't motion to Chris. The fear that I had
Hmm.
was like if you remember going down in the basement in a house and you had to turn the light off in the basement, it's dark and you
Yes.
have to go up the stairs and you always have that feeling like something's going to come up and grab you from
Grab
behind.
you. Yep.
Yes, it was that feeling. Now think about being that frightened but not being able to move. It was like, it's right there. It's standing. Something is standing right behind me. And Chris is now, like I said, Chris is about 10 10, 12 feet in front of me. I could barely see a silhouette of him in the dark. But he's still standing there, trying to listen for a knock. And I'm like, there's something right behind me. I couldn't even talk. And talk about not feeling like a man, right? Men, we don't get scared. We're protectors.
Yeah.
We don't freak out about stuff like that. I'd turn around and, slap the, whatever's
Yeah.
behind me or
Yeah.
whatever. No. I
No.
was a tree, like meaning I was a petrified tree. And I'm just like, and all this is going through my head, like, uh, this whatever it's gonna grab me.
Hmm.
It's gonna get me, or is it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? I didn't even hear it leave. I heard it come up. It's still right behind me to my left. This is all going through my head. What seemed like, I don't know, what seemed like 10 minutes after listening to my video recorder or my audio recorder was only like a minute and 20 seconds, which was still long,
Yeah.
but something
Yeah.
something snapped out of it to where I was able to walk. It was weird. Just like, and I walked right towards Chris. Now, instead of turning on a big flashlight, I was still in the mindset of don't be aggressive. Don't put on a flashlight. I had a thermal. So I walked right over to Chris, didn't say anything to Chris, turned around, put the thermal up, nothing there. Never heard anything leave. Never found any prints.
Crazy.
And that was the most terrifying because it's like, like you were saying, you can't unsee something. I can't unhear it. I can only share that. But, am I trying to share that with people to convince them
Mm.
that Bigfoot's real? There was a Bigfoot behind me. Whatever it was huge. That's
Yeah.
all I got to say. But that was my most terrifying ever. And I didn't even see it. So again, is seeing believing? Or people are saying, are you sure you heard that? If you listen to my recorder,
Yeah.
I could point it out, but I got to that point where like ghost hunters where they're like, hey, I caught an EVP, listen. And it's like, it says Bob, let's listen again. Bob, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I won't do that. If you weren't there, how can I expect you to hear what I heard?
Yeah.
Um,
You'll
just like an
never get the
EVP,
full effect.
you'll never get the full effect. So
No.
yeah, that was my most actually that was not neither one of my documentaries either. So you got to hear it here live tonight,
Man, that's crazy,
huh?
dude. Yeah, the if when you do these things, you go into the field. I think most of us at some point are going to hear them moving and walking, and the trying to explain the how to translate what the weight shifting and distribution sounds like when they're walking is so hard because you can feel it almost,
Yeah,
right? You can
right.
feel it. It's like a reverberation in the ground, and like the weight of these things just is, I can't even imagine. I really can't. People say 400 pounds, and I'm like, no way, way heavier than that.
So
They've got to
heavier than
be.
that. How do you move? A squirrel sounds like a rhinoceros in the woods,
Yes,
right? So
exactly.
it's kind of like how could a 700, 800 pound beast move so silently through the woods? You know how? This is not the squatch you're looking for.
Yep.
I believe that's what it is.
I think there's something to it. There
Yeah,
really is. Man, I'm glad you said it because, I've had the discussion a couple times, and people tend to, like they joke, like, "Oh yeah, like Yoda." And I'm like, "Yeah, just like Yoda."
absolutely. What?
Why how people can? You're a paranormal investigator. Do you believe in psychic mediums?
Absolutely, they exist. Not every medium out there that's is
No,
legit, but
no.
absolutely. It's already proven. And again, I'm not a scientist and I don't play one on TV, but but I'm
Yet,
just saying, yeah, but for just trying to understand on how much we really do use of our brain.
yeah,
Again, you can go Google it and internet it, whatever, but who knows if that's the truth of what we're reading. So I don't really trust anything anymore. But I do believe the fact that I think if you put your power to it or your mind to it, it comes down to, as Ron Moorhead would say, it's all about frequency.
Yeah.
Everything is a different frequency that makes, this our body, the chair I'm sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
And if we found that frequency, we would be able to manipulate it.
Yes. Yeah.
So if we're able to manipulate it, could I use telepathy? Could I use, that mind speak? Or there's so many different things. Like I said, anybody who's watching this already has their opinion on what a Bigfoot is.
Yeah.
And I can't take that truth away from what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the things that I'm experiencing, and this is where I kind of go with whatever's out here in the Kettle Moraine. It's something unique, and it's like you said. I think it's just a melting pot of it all. Extraterrestrial ghosts,
Mm-hmm.
time slips. I've actually lost time.
Yeah.
I've lost time out in the Kettle Moraine.
Yep.
So it's I don't know what I'm dealing with out there.
Yep. I've heard many people say that. I've never had that happen. Thank God. It probably freaked me out really bad. But I know people who've had it happen. They feel like they were in there for an hour, and next thing you know, they're like 4 hours went by, and they have no idea what happened to all that time.
Do you remember the movie Contact? Sorry, another movie reference.
Yeah.
Do you remember when she went down that structure and she was gone? She was gone for all that time, but in reality, or what they saw is it just went straight through. So she wasn't gone at all.
Right.
But yet she had 18 hours of static recorded on a recorder. So that means she really was somewhere. And that's what happened to us on this one trail that I actually kind of stay away from. It's weird to say. It's like I do explore it, but there's something I don't get a good feeling from it. And it's not fear, it's dread.
Really?
And it's when I went down there and we lost 26 minutes that was recorded, like that static from Contact, that didn't add up to the time when we got back. And
that's so creepy, man.
It's I don't even know. See, and again, I don't even know what category to put that in. Now I can put that into the TV show Fringe. That only happens in the movies. It doesn't happen in the woods like this, especially with everything that's out there. But again, that's just another piece of a possible, million-piece puzzle to try to put together.
Yeah, right. But the whole when they talk about like UFOs and how they potentially move through the universe to get from where they are to here, essentially, in a way, it's time travel. Coming from so far away, they're bending the space and time in front of them. It's flexing and bending so that they can get from that reality to this reality in the quickest way possible, which is essentially, time travel. So there's got to be, it's got to be real in some way.
I was trying to find my little piece of paper, right? The one where, how do you get from this end to this end?
Yes. Yep. What's the fastest way?
Right through.
Yep.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you're good, man. That's why you're here. It's these things are obviously possible, because I doubt that these UFOs that are visiting us are visiting from, Camden, New Jersey. They're not coming from Boca Raton, Florida. They're coming from outside of the solar system. And think about just how long it takes to get to the moon, or it's a crazy amount of time, and the solar system being infinite, they're obviously bending time. Bob Lazar talks about this a lot. Do you know Bob?
Yeah, I don't know him personally, but I know Bob.
I don't know him personally either. I'd love to, but I don't.
Know, right?
What an intriguing guy that is.
You gotta get him on this show.
Bro, if I could get Bob Lazar on the show, I'd probably pass out. I'm not even lying.
I would too. I'd actually want to co-host that show.
If I get him on, I'll have you, because I'll probably be stumbling over my words.
I know, right?
The guy is.
You'd be like, and then you'd be like, Jay. I'd be like,
Yeah.
Thanks, Bob, for the night.
Yeah. It'd be a whole lot of dead air.
Yeah, right. Just
But
let him talk.
yeah, let him talk. But I mean, that guy is, not only is he one incredibly intelligent man,
Yeah,
the stuff that he's seen, and I fully 150% believe everything he says.
I know.
I'm going to say something right now. Excuse me. I don't curse on this show usually, but I'm going to curse a little bit right now. My bullshit meter is really good. Okay.
Yeah,
If it was a car, it'd be a Bentley. There's not much that you can get past me. It's a gift. Okay.
yeah,
Um, I that guy, he's to me, there's just no, I don't see any fallacy in anything he's saying. It seems so incredibly genuine, and he's persevered through so much. Um, um, what's the word, Jay? Um,
uh,
people have given him so much crap.
adversity.
Yeah, adversity for
Yeah,
so long. I mean, he's been raided by the FBI like multiple times. He's had his name smeared how many times? He's been
yep,
called a liar and a
yep,
fraud. And in public, on television shows and radio and national broadcasts, and the guy still continues to stick by his story. At some point, you would think that he probably would have just given up, but he hasn't.
right.
And that to me screams the truth.
That's exactly how I look at it as well. Ever since when he first when I first heard him speak like that, because I actually started hearing about him. Actually, I heard, when he started doing his speaking and everything like that. But then somebody turned me on to this one book called the Montauk Chronicles.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've heard of it.
I have, yeah.
It's a book, and I'm telling you what, uh, grab it, read it. This would be somebody who was on LSD times a million, because there's no way you could come up with this stuff. I mean, it's stuff that would blow Stephen King out of the water. And so when you're done with it, you know that you weren't reading just a, fictional book or anything like that. It was like this stuff was really happening.
Yeah.
And that really goes kind of hand in hand with what Bob refers, what he talks about.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, it's all there, but we're all supposed to be in this happy bubble, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
September 29th in 2022. We're just supposed to be in a bubble and just accept things the way they are. And,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
don't look too hard. Don't look over here.
Right.
But yeah,
Stay
so
distracted.
stay distracted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Man, I now you got me thinking, how do I get in contact with that guy?
I know. Well, hey, there's a way.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Just use a cryptic phone. So when you
Yeah,
start
right.
typing it in,
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
don't
oh,
need, I don't,
what's Kyle looking for Bob Lazar for?
yeah,
Let's give
please.
Kyle a visit.
No, I don't need anything to do with the
I
FBI
know,
coming to
right?
my house, please.
I
Uh,
know.
I'm a 42-year-old fat man. There's nothing dangerous about me. If
I've
there
got
was
nothing.
when I was younger, it's gone.
Yeah, I've got nothing to hide. Nothing to hide.
Nothing,
But
man.
no, just to be able to, pick his brain, just like Travis Walton.
Sure. Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah.
Man,
We'll start putting the list down and getting some good people out.
I've got a list going,
Good.
and so far I've been extremely lucky to be. I mean, this is my fourth video, man. Like I fully expected that I was going to be on here talking about myself for probably a good like 6 to 8 months. That's what I thought.
Wow.
Um, I I feel so incredibly blessed that I've had the caliber of people on, including yourself, so far. It's just been amazing, and to be able to do this, to conversate, to back and forth, and it all makes me, it feeds that hunger, but it
Exactly.
makes me more hungry at the same time.
Exactly. You're just like it. Truth seeking.
Yeah,
We gotta find it. Gotta know.
I gotta
And
know, man.
we're tagged. We're tagged with trying to hunt the truth.
I wonder if there's something to that. I wonder if there's a certain type of person, personality type, somebody who gives off a certain frequency or energy that somehow, some way, you do get tagged by something that they
Think,
show themselves to you, or you're pulled that way where you just feel like you can't shake it.
yeah. Well, think about this, and this is what I say. We're like Aladdin, a diamond in the rough.
Mm,
I think there's a uniqueness to every person out there.
yeah,
Because I've gone out there. I'm always the X factor, right? I always have different cast of characters with me on my journey. And I call them characters because they're fun friends. But there are certain friends that I go out with that there's very little activity. There are some friends that I know for a fact, no matter when we go out, something weird happens, and not right away, but maybe at the very end, something that's so unexplainable.
yeah,
And I believe what you were just saying, that there's something inside of us that's always been there. So, but the tagged part is what I keep referring to. Is I don't know what I was tagged with or what you were tagged with to wanting to know more. People would say, well, that's just human nature is curiosity to uncover the truth. And how come my wife, who saw these prints as well, how come it didn't happen to her, but it happened to me?
right,
We're
right.
both there, so I don't know.
And how come I'm not pulled in this way to learning about quantum mechanics, or
Yeah,
how to fix a car engine? Like, I don't have that pull to those things.
no,
It's just this
neither do I.
weird, yeah, it's just this weird anomalous stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
um I mean, I'm glad, because I think it's it's just really, it's neat. It's just neat stuff.
I think we're important to do this. And again, you think about being tagged. Now you're also talking about it and sharing that. Like you said, you're
Mhm.
leading all the horse to the water,
Yeah,
and that's going to be up to them. But it's kind of you kind of just kind of lay it out.
yeah,
This is what it is.
yep, yep, absolutely. You way earlier you mentioned that went to Salem, and when you were getting into the paranormal stuff. I'm only like 2 hours from there, man.
Wow,
I go up every year for Halloween. It is, tell me it's not one of the coolest places you've ever been.
it's the coolest place. I mean, my wife will even say that because we got married. Actually, our anniversary is coming up in here in October, but we ended up in Salem near Halloween, and just the way the town is,
Oh,
it's such a cool vibe
yes,
to it. And I was never there. I wanted to be there, and this is when we went there, and they're saying, "Oh, they're doing ghost tours." There's
yes,
about 50 people just like walking around. We're trying to look for
with a
weird.
candle.
Yeah, right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
Then we get to that graveyard with a huge tree.
yes,
Like where the some of the hangings could have happened. For the
yep.
witch trials, and so yeah, it was. You're only a couple hours from there.
Yeah, I'm literally, I think it's 2 hours and like 9 minutes.
Wow, you're right there.
Yeah,
That's
we're close.
awesome.
We're close. Yeah. I tell people too, even if you don't go on Halloween,
Yeah,
just the way the town is set up, there's just so much history. It still seems like it's kind of stuck in a time warp of some sort.
right.
Cobblestone streets, these wrought iron street lamps, and like
What was that? House of the Seven Dwarfs or
gables, the
Gables?
seven dwarfs.
That's what I always say that to my wife. House of the Seven Dwarfs, no
Yes,
Gables. What?
yeah,
I'm like,
the
what the hell's a
dwarfs. Yeah.
gable? The
That's a
House of the Seven Dwarfs.
different one. That's a
Yeah,
different story.
yeah, different story, different area too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Oh
But yeah,
man, um, that's awesome.
yeah.
Have you ever been to Gettysburg?
I've never been to Gettysburg. I'd love to go there though.
Yeah, that's another place, man. It's you can feel it as soon as you get there.
Yeah,
Like, you just feel it. It's a crazy, crazy feeling, man. And it's not. Um, I when we went. I went twice, and both times we went, there was no lack of strange occurrences the whole time we were there. I
yeah.
mean, it's a heavy, heavy place.
Is there always a lot of people there? I have two good friends who live in Pennsylvania, in
Hmm.
Southwest Pennsylvania, and they love going up there. That's like one of their things to do,
Yeah,
and they tell me about it too. And I guess it's kind of like me explaining the kettle right now. Unless you're really out here, it's hard to actually feel that.
yeah,
So, but I've heard so much about that. I mean, even I don't know how much is true on paranormal TV or whatever when it looked like there was a person standing there, and then it kind of fades out, and I don't know. It didn't really look too CGI-ish to me, but I'm like,
I,
wow, that place has got to be crazy.
I'll tell you. Yeah, no, I don't think what I don't know exactly which one you're talking about, but I think I might. I don't think it's CGI. There's a video of a person's backyard that butts right up to the main battlefield,
Okay.
and you can see there's a tree line at the back of their backyard, like pine trees or whatever. So it's pretty dark. It's during the day. You can see all of a sudden like half of a person, see through, but you can see their outline. You can see details
Yeah,
to where they're,
I think I remember seeing this.
and
Yeah.
it's a whole troop of soldiers. They walk like in this same path, and it looks like there's 100 of them coming out of the woods. It's the
So,
craziest thing.
so my thing is, back in my paranormal days, people would say those were all Patrick Swayze's. They all passed away, and they're just residual. My thing goes more with time. When
Mm,
we're talking about this overlapping time within our own plane of existence, is that that's still really going on. They're just not physically here, but it's physically when you're watching that happen,
yeah,
it's actually physically happening at
sure,
that point in time, and
sure,
we're witnessing that. So it's not
right,
like they're dead ghosts, dead people walking.
right.
Anyway, again, those are my theories because it's like come on, if every ghost out there was just a dead person, wouldn't it no longer be called paranormal? It would be called normal
Yeah, yeah,
because
right.
everyone's got to figure it out. And I'm not even saying that's not what it is, but I like to go, how do we really, 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 really know?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. While we're on the paranormal, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. I try to keep it to around an hour and a half,
Yeah.
hour 45.
Okay.
People's attention spans are pretty
They're
short
gone
nowadays.
already. Well,
Yeah, they're gone.
maybe they'll tune back in.
Well, we're recording, so I'm going to post this on Saturday. I'm hoping that
Yeah.
I'll hit that time slot, and that my guest is just, I got one of the best guests I could have, so I think we'll do well. Um,
Oh,
but we're gonna.
go
I was,
on.
but I was gonna ask you when you were doing the paranormal
Yeah.
thing. Tell me what was the most harrowing experience there? Anything demonic? Anything attached? I'm gonna click my
No.
camera and my mic off for 1 second. I got to adjust something, but I'll be here.
Okay, that's fine. Honestly, there was nothing really hair raising per se. It was more discovery. And honestly, that was like in a house built back in the 70s in a northern town in Illinois that we were just researching because apparently they had sightings in their basement of what looked like an old man holding an old cigar box, walking out and trying to talk, but nothing was coming out of his mouth. It was actually really intriguing. Really excited about doing this, but doing paranormal investigating for that period of time, you're there for a good 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours, depending on what time you get there. And at this point, it was close to 3 in the morning. I don't want to say the witching hour. And I was in the basement by myself with a millimeter, green display. So the green was probably breaking through the darkness onto the ceiling. And another investigator who was outside of the room. Excuse me a minute. My darn drink went down the wrong tube.
Man, I've never heard anyone cough so silently.
Right? That's how it is. I don't need anybody to hear me cough. But so there was another investigator outside of the room I was sitting in the dark.
Yeah.
And he was looking in there and he goes, "Are you moving in there?" Because he thought he saw a shadow within the green lit of the display of the millimeter. No, I'm still sitting here. And just then I got engulfed with the most coldest air. I mean, it was almost like the air almost felt like it was if I had to put a degree to it, like 10 degrees. I mean, that's how cold it felt in this one, and it engulfed my whole body, and just as quickly as it came, it left. Now, I know myself, at this point I was just kind of like, in somebody's basement, grandma's basement, right? It's like,
Yeah.
nothing's really going on all night. I wasn't scared because, you would know, just like when I was out in the woods and the thing was standing behind me, I could tell you I was petrified.
Yeah.
In this case, when he said, "Are you moving in there?" It's like, no, I get engulfed in this cold, like I said, my whole body, and every hair on my body stood straight up, like if it was like just charged. And it was like at that point, now we're talking everywhere, my legs,
Yeah.
my hair on my head, my arms. I was like taking pictures of, they look like the redwood forest, just like total static.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like a scared, like I was like, and all of a sudden all my hair's raising up. It just charged me. And at that point, I believe that's when I realized that there is truth to what people are encountering or seeing. But again, I'm still on the fence of exactly what that is. I mean,
Yeah.
what if a portal from a parallel world of ours was opening up right there?
Yeah.
And the multiverse, right? Like how big the multiverse is with Marvel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
can't
So
even follow it.
I know, right? It could be Jay from Earth 047. I
Right.
mean, I don't know, but I'm just saying it's like whatever that was from what people talk about, going in and feeling that coldness around the paranormal, around ghosts. So,
Yeah.
that was it. There's been a few others that were just noises and stuff like that, but no, nothing ever demonic or anything. Honestly, I always prayed before I went out. I was like,
You
I
were
was,
probably protected pretty well.
I was like, Jesus, just protect me. I mean, I'd like to know that. I'd like to hunt the truth. You understand, right, Jesus?
Yeah.
And he's just like, I understand. Go. No,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, but I'm just saying, it's like I never felt anything like paranormal or anything demonic or anything like that. But I never messed with Ouija boards or
Yeah.
the
That's
occult type stuff. I don't do any of that stuff.
yeah. Well, it's asking for bad stuff to happen.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
it's asking for bad stuff. So I live. I literally, I'm sitting on my front porch right now. This is the first time I've done this outside, but it was such a nice night out. I live. If I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the Fort Griswold Monument. It is a Revolutionary War field on the Thames River in Connecticut.
Wow.
On the opposite side is Fort Trumbull, and you can see across. So at Fort Griswold, I mean, it's probably, I would say it's about 300 yards from a house. Um, and Fort Griswold, there's cannons all
Okay.
lined up at the bottom. So the fort is sloped like this, right? So there's big hills up top.
Right.
There's a little uh, there's like a little cave tunnel system that goes through them. It cuts through the middle.
Okay.
And then there's areas where they could hit these bunkers in front of the big hills. There's little bunkers that kind of roll like this.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it slopes down right towards the river. And the cannons are all lined up at the front, and then there's two kind of up on top of the hill on the sides, one right by the monument, but I think the one by the monument was placed there just as a decoration.
Yeah.
The monument itself is just a very tall, like obelisk looking building with with windows around it, and it was so they could watch the river and see if anything was coming. Any of the any enemies were coming. At this battleground, there was Colonel Ledyard, which Ledyard is the next town over from Groton, where I live, named after Colonel Ledyard. Colonel Ledyard, I believe, I may be wrong. It's been a long time since I read the thing, but I believe Colonel Ledyard they either turned on him or he betrayed his army. It was one of those things, but it was a bad deal. But when we moved here, which was about 6 years ago, my sleep patterns are crazy. They always have been. I'm up, in the middle of the night. I'll sleep a couple hours like early in night, and then I'll be awake from, 2 o'clock until 6, and maybe take a nap at like 11.
And let me interrupt you. Have you always
Yeah.
been that way, or how long has that been going on?
Only a few years. Yeah, probably since right when we moved in, maybe right after.
It's weird because same things that happens to me too.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah, I always slept like a rock, man.
so did I.
I
I don't
mean,
know if it's just getting older. I don't know. They
I
always
don't
say
know.
the older you get. I'm actually 55.
You
So
don't look what? You no
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah, I
Yeah, you
am.
look good, man.
Thanks. I can only say good genes. It's like I have a 32-year-old daughter, 7-year-old granddaughter. Yeah,
Yeah, wow. Well, good. Shoot.
I
Um,
know.
but what I was gonna say is
Yeah,
when I was awake at these times, I would hear these echoing um boom, 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 boom. And it was always at the same time every night. And I hate to say it, but it was always between like 2:45 and 3:30. Always the same time. And I kept saying, what in the heck is going on? And they were loud enough that you could feel them, but they still sound muffled, right? Um, I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. I finally figured out what it was. It was phantom cannon sounds.
really.
Yes. And so this is how I found out. I ended up taking a walk one night,
Wow.
and stood, right outside the gates, because it was coming from what sounded like the river, and I heard them, and they were still muffled, but I could tell they were coming from right there. It's the craziest thing, man, and they happen pretty regularly. But again, so that's what do they call that? That's
Residual.
residual, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
residual. But there's a house right around the corner from us that is this is a historic section of town, and so a lot of these houses were captains' houses, they were corporals' houses, they were,
Yeah.
you know um,
Wow.
people, shipmates, and all these kind of like crazy people from back then. um, and so these houses, they've been kept up because they are historical, and they're preserved by the historical society. I've heard stories about a few of them. There's one house over here that supposedly is like extremely active, where the doors to the upstairs and the attic open and close by themselves. There's a rocking chair, I guess, that's in the attic when the house has changed hands, the owners can continue to tell the new owners, do not remove the chair. It's got to stay, and the chair rocks by itself. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
New England's got a ton of history, man, and so you can kind of expect that there's going to be some of these things here.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying is it's there, it's real.
Yeah,
But again, what it is, like you were saying,
I don't
is it
know.
residual? Is it timescapes?
Yeah, I don't know.
Uh, you know, is it Project Bluebeam?
Yeah,
I'm
just
just saying
more.
it's like you wonder what's real anymore. Or
Right,
it's not even so much if it's real, but is it just you seeing it?
right,
That's
right.
that's how I feel a lot too. I feel kind of alone,
Yeah,
even
for
though
sure.
even though my wife supports me, even though I have friends that want to go out and hike, uh, they don't feel what I feel. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So you kind of feel a little bit isolated with having this knowledge, I guess.
Yeah, it does. It gets
Yeah,
that way.
yeah,
But that's why this community, excuse me, is so great. Like, I know there's trolls, and I know there's people who are going to say these bad things, but um, for the most part, the people that I've come across so far, and I know it's still early, but they've been so supportive, man. Like, it's so
yeah,
touching and humbling to have anybody watch a video that I made at all, to listen to me babble about this stuff. Like,
yeah.
it just floors me. And then to take time to go leave a comment that's like, oh, we watched the show, it was really good. Like, keep going. Those things are just crazy to me. It's just
It
crazy.
is. That's how I feel. You said you watched my first film. How many times, and it's kind
Dude,
of like, wow, I mean, that's cool. I mean,
you just got, yeah, it's got
you
to
know,
be, right?
yeah. I
I'll
mean,
probably watch it when we're done. I swear to God, I'm not even joking. Just
Yeah,
because I got done now interviewing you, like I'm
right.
gonna go watch this film again.
Oh man, and each one's 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'll
See,
be awake.
that's why it's hard for me to watch movies. Okay, is at my old age.
Yeah,
If I watch my movie too late, I'll be like,
yeah,
you start
yeah,
falling asleep. I'm like, don't fall asleep on your own movie, right?
yeah.
But you know, I worked on it for over a year, so it's like I know every nook and cranny of the movie. You know, when
Yeah,
you see it that many times, like it's hard to hold that interest after the 12th
right.
time you watched it in a row.
I still find them so
That's still a good
interesting,
movie.
man. I
Oh,
really
thanks.
do. It's because it's so neat. It's that cool feeling of being there with somebody while they're
Yeah,
investigating the unknown. Like it's just a cool feeling, you know.
it
So
is,
yeah,
and again, it's always being out there. That's what I always like. I like to always finish by telling people that what I'm trying to do is not trying to convince you that it's real, but to go out and find your truth.
yep,
If you have an interest in this and you're kind of on the fence, go out and seek it. I mean,
yeah,
there's question everything that you come across. You can even question what I'm talking about right now.
sure,
Go out and hunt that truth. And I always, like I said in the beginning, like how many truths are there out there in the world, and everybody's got their own. Kyle, you got your own, I got my own, and you're gonna have the trolls on here saying, "Well, I've got my own. This sucked,"
yeah, 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 yeah,
or whatever. It's like, okay,
yeah, yeah. Hey, whatever. That's
but
your truth.
but it's out there, and I'm glad to be able to share my documentaries that bring people to that realization that there is something legitimately going on. Jay doesn't have all the answers, not at all. I don't. A lot
No,
of people think I do just because I'm seasoned going out in the woods.
yeah,
It's kind of like the paranormal investigator who wants to investigate a haunted house. They go one time, they have all these hours and hours and hours to listen to, and it takes them a while to get through it. And they determine if it has paranormal activity or not, and they move to the next house.
yeah,
Why wouldn't you, as a paranormal investigator, go back to that house again and spend another 8 hours, then come back the next week, another 8 hours, and next week, and do that for a year straight, and then compare all the data together? That's what it's like going into the woods.
yeah,
Each time there could be something different, and you just got to have that passion. I believe once you get tagged, as I call it,
yeah,
Kyle, is that right?
yeah,
We're
yeah.
brothers, and we're brothers in tags here.
That's right. Yeah,
And and just keep keep on hunting that truth. Get out there, hunt the
that
truth.
what you said too. We just talked about this. I forget who it was I was talking about it with, but the whole theory of like you go to one place one time and you think that you have experienced all that there is to experience there. It's like playing the lotto once and expecting that you're going to win, right?
Right,
Don't you have a
right,
better chance if you play every single time the lotto comes?
hundred
I mean,
percent.
you know,
If I won the lotto and I was a billionaire, or not a
yeah,
millionaire, I'd like to say millionaire, but million won't get you too far these days. If I was a
no,
billionaire, I'd be the richest woodsman there is, because I'd love to be out there every day just to
yeah,
observe. And it doesn't have to be 24/7, but just to be out there, because
yep.
it's the only way we're gonna know.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I'm not going to keep you much longer, but I do want to play a little trivia.
Okay.
This is the part of the show that I like to call You Don't Know Squatch. Just a few questions. All right, you ready?
I'm ready. Hey Siri. Oh, Siri answered. Okay, good.
There's at least one or two on here that if you have to ask Google, you're probably going to get in trouble. All right.
All right.
When was the first reported sighting of the Beast of Bray Road? What year?
Ooh, well, I know Linda did that in 1991, but she started recording in 1991. But there was another one that was recorded in I want to say the 30s. Was that all right, wasn't I?
You're right there, buddy.
All right. So
1936.
36.
Yep.
I always with dates, especially with like even Roswell. So
Yeah.
like, was it 1942 or 1947? All these dates are just like, the Patterson. Was that like 60, 67? Oh, that's right. That was the year I was born,
Oh, well, you answered that one already then.
Oh, okay, yeah. October 15th, 1967.
October 20th.
20th. That's what I meant.
20th.
That's what I meant. Didn't I say that?
Yeah, you did. You did. You cut out when you said the day, so I just was
So wait,
trying to let
let's
everybody
try.
know.
You could edit this. Ready?
Yes.
So that was October 1967.
Yes. Yep. You're right.
Like, see how I did that?
Correct.
Now you can add in the
20.
yeah.
Correct. All right. Who penned the who penned books such as Monsters Among Us, Monsters of Wisconsin, American Monsters, among others, and was also part of a 2019 documentary, Finding Jay?
I think her name was Mary Couch. Couch. Sorry, I got Billy Madison on my head. That would be Miss Linda Godfrey.
Linda Godfrey. Oh, she seems like such an awesome lady, man.
She sure is. She's kind of taken a back seat lately in the past 2 years.
Sure.
But she's been doing it for such a long time. So
A long time.
Sometime or another, I think you just need to kind of just step back a little bit. So
yeah, it takes a lot of time, man, a lot of energy.
I'll think about it. Getting called all the time to Travel Channel, this, that, just so much time,
man.
so much time.
Yeah, and then the cons that you do and all that stuff, like that's a lot.
Takes a lot out.
Yep. All right, here we go. Name the man who claimed Patty was a hoax and he wore the costume.
The man who called him out?
The man who said that it was a hoax and said that he was the one wearing the costume.
Oh, God, yeah, he was debunked. He was that chubby dude.
Yeah. It's a tough one. It's a tough name.
It is. And I honestly, I could see his face, and I also remember watching the video of him explaining that it was him.
And as soon as I say it, you're going to go, oh, yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Bob Hieronymus.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. It's a tough name.
What's funny is I was thinking of Bob Lazar, but I know it wasn't not Bob Lazar, but it was that last name. It was like, I think I always had trouble with a blockage with that because it always his last name always sounded like Snuffleupagus.
To me, it sounds like horrendous.
Horrendous, yeah. Bob's horrendous.
All right, 2 more and then we're done. What did they call the Bigfoot-like creature that was the inspiration for the cult classic movie, The Legend of Boggy Creek?
What do they call? What was that? What do they?
What did they call the Bigfoot-like creature that was the inspiration for the movie, The Legend of Boggy Creek? I'll give you a hint. It was in the name. It was part of the town that it was from. They called it the something. It was in Arkansas, in a town called
Norfolk.
Oh, that was close. That was very close. The
second
half of that word is very close. Nope.
Oh, don't. You're putting me on the spot. This sucks. And I'll know it, and I'm going to feel dumb.
Oh, don't feel dumb. This is all for fun.
As soon as I'm done, you'll be watching Finding Jay, and I'll be sitting on the couch going,
No, what I'll do is I'll go inside and go, man, you blew it. You blew it.
Yeah, you blew it.
You blew it. You made him feel dumb, you idiot.
Now everybody in this room is now dumber for listening to it. I award you no points. And may God have mercy on your soul. A simple no would have done.
How is this? This has been a theme today.
Yeah, I know it is.
Begins with an F. The something monster.
The folk monster?
Falk.
Yeah,
Falk, Arkansas.
Falk. Yeah. Did I say that? I just didn't pronounce it right.
Yeah, you did. All right, this is the last one. I think you'll get this one. I hope you will. I try to make them not too hard, but not too easy. What is the name given to the small bipedal creature said to roam the forests of Indonesia? Small bipedal. There's another monkey ape that
The pygmy.
no.
Oh, the Panji. It's like I'll just end it there.
The
You just
orang pendek.
that is okay.
The orang pendek. Man, I guess I got to make these a little easier, huh?
No, because you know what? There's a lot of times people will say, "How well do you know everything about Bigfoot?"
Yeah.
Right?
I don't expect people to know these. That's the thing. Like,
but there's a
that's
lot
the
of
whole
people
point.
that did, and I remember Bobo and Cliff did that in a bar at one of their shows.
Yeah.
And they were doing this trivia just like this, where like Bobo's like, "Come on, you got to know what this is," and it's like I could tell you everything that I've learned about, up in the kettle, and that's what I really focus on.
Right.
But there's a lot of people that are really that know it like the back of their hand,
The zealots.
Yeah. And the thing is, and that is important to know. If I was really focusing more on all of the species like that, I guess I don't know. It's things that I hear and I don't retain for some reason.
Well, listen, I honestly don't expect anyone to get these answers. It's not something, if you ask me, I would know. I wouldn't know them. I do it to try to stump people, like just to see how they react. Just
Yeah,
to mix it up a little bit. That's all. I hope you're not upset.
No, not at all.
Okay. All right.
Not at all. You'll just cut the last 15 minutes out of the show, right?
That's right. Yeah, we're gonna cut it. We'll cut it right after the story about the cannons. We're done there.
Yeah, right. It'll just
That's
end. It'll be like,
yeah.
Why did it end on cannons? Kyle always has his question and answers at the end.
Yeah.
Trivia.
Then I'll have to put out a whole press thing. It's Jay Bachochin is a real snob. He wouldn't play trivia.
I just had to get off the phone. No, but that's good. No, I'm totally good. So
all right, good. I'm sorry. I really didn't want to upset anybody tonight, especially you.
Not at all.
All right. Well, this has been great, man. I honestly I'm honored you came on the show. This is a really fun show for me. To do.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Pleasure talking with you, and I know we'll stay in touch on Facebook as well. So
for sure. And anytime if you need anything from me, I'll be there. I don't know what I can offer, but if there's something, you let me know, and I'd love to have you back on in the future, man.
All right, and same here. You call me anytime. I'll fill in, and when you get Bob Lazar on, we'll co-host together.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll both be be stuck.
And we could also get Ron Moorhead on here.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'll get in touch with him,
dude.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. Yeah. Again, the fan in me, like I just get so excited, man. To pick that guy's brain.
Ron's probably going to be watching this on Saturday, going, "What's going on? You're going to do what?" No, no. There's a lot of good people out there. Ron has so much to say. He's actually, I want to say the inspiration for me to create my second documentary, because I don't mention anything about the lights in my first documentary.
Right.
And but I was seeing him back then.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I bought his book, The Quantum Bigfoot, which is my favorite Bigfoot
book.
But he was known for producing the Sierra Sounds.
Yep.
And Voices of the Wilderness. And he's been all over the world. He's a traveler, adventurer. He is a wealth of knowledge, and I love listening to him talk. So yeah, I'll reach out and give your information.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
amazing. Thank you so much, Jay.
You're welcome.
Again, prayers to everybody in Florida. I said it the other day. Like, how many times do these stupid storms have to hit that poor state? Like, it's just crazy, man.
Well, they said, I guess DeSantis said this was like a 500-year storm. Like, it only happens that powerful. And I was listening to more of what this hurricane was, and it wasn't so much the wind force, it was the upper atmosphere being able to pull all this moisture up. I'm sound like a meteorologist, but was able to pull all the water up. You know how it sucks it all away, and it
Yeah.
was actually taking this and bringing it to high elevations and dumping it on the state of Florida.
Oh
That's
my
how much
gosh.
came down. So they said, yeah, the winds were intense, but there was something different about this storm, and that was more precipitation that was in it. At least that's what I heard.
So crazy
Yeah.
flooding. Yeah,
So
that's never good.
definitely my prayers out to
For
them.
sure. Yeah, I have some friends down there. Donnie Miller's down there.
Yeah.
A couple other people. You know, it's just it's
Stacey
Mother
Brown's
Nature,
down there
man.
too.
Who?
Stacey Brown.
Oh yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
he's down there. I mean, you got a lot of other
Mark's
different.
down there. Mark
Yeah,
Zasky's down
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm thinking of some other ones, but I know they live in Texas, so they're safe for now.
Yeah,
But
man.
yeah, so my prayers out for Florida, and they said, you know, even though the storm has passed, I don't know if you've seen the devastation, but
I looked quickly, but it's so hard to
it's
watch, man.
it is it's just flooded and moved, and there were houses that were actually picked up by this houses, not mobile homes,
Yeah,
but like certain houses were actually picked up floating.
that's
Um,
crazy.
but now all the water is going to slowly go down somewhere, obviously, but everything is just at a standstill. So, you know, and that's people's lives. You know, you go
Right.
on, you look at other videos I've seen in on social media, and you know, they're sitting there on their stairs just watching
Their
their
whole life.
downstairs get flooded.
Yep.
And then looking out the window, and the window's holding in about 4 feet of water. You're looking
Yeah.
outside. Like if you open that up, all that would have just, yeah.
Yep. I can tell you
Oh,
right now,
devastating.
we get the occasional hurricane up here. If
Yeah.
they, if they skirt around Florida and they come up the coast, we jut out just a little bit. And so if they hug that coastline, they hit us. We had Hurricane Sandy
Yep.
a few
I
years
remember
back,
that one.
and that
Yes.
that was bad, man. I'll tell you. I don't want to downplay anything, but Donnie Miller talked about it. Tornado is awful. I never want to be in one. I saw one up close when I was in upstate New York. We were stuck on a highway, and I watched it go by in the distance. Terrifying.
Yeah.
But that's a couple minutes, right, of
Right.
just total devastation. A Category 3, 4, 5 hurricane is hours and hours of sustained devastation. It's so
Yes.
bad, man. It's so bad. And I'm not downplaying anything because they're all
No, no.
terrible. They're all terrible, but I don't want them to be in either of them. Period.
Well, just keep an eye on the one that's creeping up the coast right now. It's supposed to be in South Carolina,
Yeah.
you know. And I mean, who knows? Again, I don't project to know any of the weather except for what they show you, but
Right.
they're already telling them that it became a tropical storm as it went over Florida, and now because it hit the ocean, the Atlantic, it's gaining strength again,
Right.
and it's going to be hugging the East Coast.
Right.
I don't know how far, but
Yeah. I'm
crazy.
not.
Let's leave it on a good note, huh?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Let's leave it on a good note. Thank you for coming on.
thank you for having me.
You were an amazing guest. I am a fan, and I'm just so happy you came, man. I look forward to creating a friendship and having you back on in the future, man. And
Absolutely. Thank you.
the best to you and your family. Everybody who subscribes, who watches, if you're part of this channel, then you're a part of a family, and I'm sending love, light, positive energy to all you guys. Have a wonderful night, and I'll see you guys again soon.